quite like to date a gay minor.
That is so random.
They would just be really, you know...
Unwell. With like terrible lungs.
Yeah, but like, those arms...
I'm not sure minors do that anymore.
Oh, do they not?
I don't think so. Hello.
Hi. Welcome back to A Story Worth Telling.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for all your support on our last video.
Yeah. Confetti.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That was great. But you'll be pleased to know that this week we're going back to our roots. You voted on the poll.
You did.
And if you didn't, you lost out. Sorry, mate.
It's democracy. It was a 3% turnout.
You get a vote. And so we are now watching Pride.
Woo!
As you can see.
Happy Pride.
What's it about, Josh?
Yeah, so this movie is set in the 80s. It's another 80s movie. But it's not specifically about the AIDS epidemic, which is different. And this movie is about a bunch of gay people who support the miners who are striking against Thatcher's plan to close down the mines. So
it's a true story. We're watching something that reflects like real life history, and so it's really educational. That's what I love about this film.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Let's just jump in.
Let's do it, yeah.
I've spoken to the council about your deviant parties.
There's no need to do that. Just knock on the door. We let you in.
They're sending a policeman.
Oh, I do hope so.
Love it.
I love that about the gay community is that people will insult us and then we combat that with fun, laughter,
we
jokes,
have to.
kindness. That's what we throw back in their faces.
We've been trained to do that. We're really good at doing that.
It's a bit of like a shield, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's a shield,
it
and it's also like a flip the narrative.
Yeah.
I've never met a lesbian before.
Really? I've never met anyone who owns their jeans.
That's embarrassing. I'm 20.
You won't go spreading that around. 16 for the breeders, 21 for the gays. You're still a minor.
It's like a topic that often doesn't get brought up a lot, I think.
It's one of those strange inequalities.
Yeah.
That was around for ages.
Yeah. I really question what the kind of motive behind that legislation was.
I have a sneaking suspicion that it's probably to do with them thinking that young kids are going to be vulnerable to influence and designed to protect them from perverted older gays, I imagine. It just doesn't work, and it makes things more dangerous because people aren't getting educated. They aren't getting access to the same kind of resources that they would be if it was legal. 16 for the breeders.
Maybe we should just hand the money over anonymously. I mean, we don't have to say we're gay, do we?
This is a gay and lesbian group, and we are unapologetic about that.
I like how passionate he is, because I think it still stems from like the same thing that exists today, and that is the whole we are unapologetically who we are, and
you got to stand by that.
You do have to stand by that. The acceptance of support from different communities, like the queer community, is much more tolerated by like other businesses and stuff and other communities. But I think it probably is like a silent thing that still exists, where
I think which is a much less prejudiced society now. I think let's give credit where credit's due. I think it's less likely that people are just going to like put the phone down on someone just because they happen to be like a gay charity. Maybe,
but then at the same time, people close their doors, to gay couples walking into cake shops still.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I can see where it comes from.
I think it's echoes of it for sure.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
So, LGSM. What does that stand for then? This money you've raised, that's all from gays and lesbians?
Mostly.
Truth told, you're the first gays I've ever met in my life.
As far as you're aware.
Yeah, I mean, this is a thing, right? People just believe that they can live in a world that's completely absent of gay people, and yet we're everywhere.
Well, we are.
We are.
What an infestation. People all around you that you don't realise that could be different sexualities, and you just have never had that conversation with that person.
But that's why coming out is so important, and I will always be an advocate for people coming out when they're safe, obviously. Because you only need to like know one gay person for that to flip any like preconceptions, any prejudgments on its head. And if you're in a village where no one's gay, because actually you don't know anyone who's gay because no one's come out, then that is like part of the reason that these prejudices and views can continue to propagate, because there's no like challenge to it. All of those things that you thought you knew about a gay person are then challenged because you've actually met someone who's gay, and actually maybe they're not like that.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
I agree with that.
Only gay in the village.
So appropriate right now.
They've raised the most money, so invite them. And who the bloody hell are you?
Gays and lesbians, we are trying to fit in here, Sean.
What? You know, I had you down as many things, but prejudice was never one of them. The committee decided.
Well, I hope you and your bloody committee can guarantee their safety, Sean. I do. I really do.
What I really like about this film is that in a lot of gay films, the kind of like the other perspective to the gay characters is usually one that is anti them, or you view their perspective through the lens of like the gay characters and how they see them. And in this film, you're kind of like, yes, it's gay, but you're also getting an insight into like a whole other community. And that community is not just made up of people who are necessarily prejudiced, but people who are allies, but understand their own community and what they're like. And it's really interesting to see these perspectives.
Di! Your gays have arrived.
Come on in. Welcome, everybody.
The group or organisation you represent in this case.
Lesbians and gays support the minors.
Yeah, quite absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
He's brilliant in this movie.
We're joined once again by one of our support groups. Lesbians and gays support the minors.
We'll keep on trying to help you for as long as you want us to, because we've been through some of the same things you've been through. If 1 in 5 people is gay, then 1 in 5 minors must be too, right? So that's at least a fifth of you who's pleased to see us.
I thought it was 1 in 10.
I don't think
it's 1 in 5.
I don't think there's any official statistics.
I think there is.
Rely on. As we all know,
1 in 5 of you.
In the census this year in the UK, well, in England at least, they introduced a question about sexual orientation. So hopefully, for the first time, we'll get a decent idea.
Was that never in the census before?
No.
Ooh.
No. So hopefully, I mean, it was optional, but we'll see if there's some nice data that comes out of that. We actually get to see, is it 1 in 5? Is it 1 in 10? Is it somewhere in between? I think it probably is somewhere in between.
Everyone.
We're
on the
From here on in, the hosting committee's going to bloody well start hosting.
I'm sorry, not me. I'm concerned about AIDS. What?
I don't mind taking more, Irina. Not the lesbians so much because of their cuisine, but I'll take an extra gay.
If you get AIDS, so help me God, I'll nurse you myself. Now, how are you going to get AIDS from a couple of sleeping bags in your extension? I don't know.
Listen.
Oh, I
Bloody love her.
freaking love Imelda's daughter. She's hilarious. Oh.
She's amazing in this movie.
I think her character in this film really does, like, it makes it, like, it's fantastic. Yeah. And she's kind of like the weird counterbalance to the other character, who I think you'd expect to see in the film regardless, her character, because you're like, oh, there's going to be someone in this community who has a problem with it. But you don't necessarily expect to know that there is going to be someone
the other side of the coin.
And it would be, yeah,
and
absolutely.
in fact, there are many more of those people on the other side of the coin. She is the odd one out.
She's the odd one out, and it's really, it's
that.
really interesting.
This is the first date. Men on the dance floor.
Turn the one and missing!
So just listen to me, babe. I'm gonna dance. Oh my God. If you can dance too. Don't stop the motion.
fucking brilliant. Oh, all the women, straight men out there, it is true. If you want to learn how to pull ladies better, you should really take advice from gay men. We know how to dance. Well, most of us. When we were talking about Melda Staunton's character in The Other One and having the flip side, you also get a similar dynamic in the gay people there, because you have people who will be unapologetically themselves and he will dance, and then you have the other gays who
like, oh God,
are kind of like thinking about being somewhat what I kind of mentioned in that Love Victor episode we did about kind of being reserved when you know you're in a situation where you think it probably is a good idea to like not draw attention to oneself. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why this film is so good, because it gives you pictures of so many different perspectives and versions of people, and the way in which they all kind of mix and come together, and how it works, and it's brilliant.
That's good representation.
Great representation. Yeah. That's what we like to see.
That's what we love.
Thing like this break.
Like, what would possess you to throw a firework through someone's window into a shop?
I mean,
like, what is the thought process? You're like, this is a good idea.
You have to come face to face sometimes with like the level of violence that our community has dealt with in the past,
and still does.
Now, you may not see it necessarily on the street as much as you would have like years ago, but it still exists, and in its most extreme forms, it can be, a firework thrown into someone's house, or like we had the other day with the murdering
the Iranian kid
of the Iranian boy. Like
beheading, not murdering. Like,
yeah,
brutal.
It's disgusting, and may he rest in peace. It's shocking. It's so shocking. It's the one moment in this film where I'm like, oh my God, because you really do.
Yeah.
It takes you out for a second. It throws you into the reality of what living in the 80s was like, and
this isn't the only moment in the film that this kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
I struggle to empathise with someone who would do something like that. I can't really understand.
No, I do as well.
I
honestly do as well.
It's a mixture of like ignorance and doctrine. It gives people permission to do horrible, horrible things, and feel like they're justified in doing it. And that's why movies like this are so important, because we need educational moments to kind of cut through that messaging, which twists people into being nasty, nasty bastards.
They called us perverts. Bromley, it's time for an important part of your education. There is a long and honourable tradition in the gay community, and it has stood us in good stead for a very long time. You take it, and you own it.
Yeah!
So true. And we do that, and we still do that. A lot of debate among a lot of people about like which words you should use. We can try and live our lives not fearing every single word.
Yeah.
I think that's a start. I think to be able to like reclaim a couple or reclaim the pride from some is a start for any person. That's great. And yeah, I think it does.
I think generally having a thick skin is a good quality, though.
Yeah.
And just let things like kind of not get you so bristled all the time. I think words only have meaning if you let them.
Yeah.
That feeds the power of the word.
And we wouldn't be able to sit here and talk and do the things that we're doing right now and using the words that we're using without people over years finding that courage to be like, I'm going to own it. Absolutely.
Don't fucking talk during the bingo.
Simple as that.
I'm sorry, but when are you going to address my question about a women's group?
What do you need a women's group for anyway?
Lee and me.
To address the women's issues. I'm also a lesbian and a feminist.
Listen, love, I don't care if you're Arthur Scargill. Don't talk during the bingo.
I have to, I'm a bit conflicted with this film when it comes to like, and obviously not women or lesbians here, so please share your opinions on this matter, because me and Josh can only really give, like a limited view on this. Totally respect that. But I do feel like this film crosses into territories of being
lesbian bashing.
Yeah, like slightly anti-lesbian. Because it's like, on the one hand, it's like it's bringing up the issue, it's really good, but like, you do go through the film kind of seeing them through a lens of like annoyance, or like they're trying to do something that is unnecessary, and it's really like I don't know where to stand on that, because I'm like, well, yeah, they have a point. Like they are women, and Mark is like the male leader of it, and they are lesbians, and there's fewer of them, and there's issues there, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's really weird. I don't know how to feel about it.
I think probably what it's doing is it's kind of being a little bit factually and historically accurate, because I think that is what happened at the time. There was, you know, when you're a campaign group, you have differences of opinion about how best to tackle the issue that you've got going on. So there'll be like splinter groups and all the rest of it. But I think maybe what this film is trying to do here is say, like, maybe we as a community aren't perfect because we're supporting people, like, but in some sense we're not supporting members of our own community as well, and we're kind of dismissing their points of view.
Well, totally. And it kind of brings it on to like a similar topic that we spoke about before, which was like, so this is like a queer film, but actually what you've got is at this point in time, historically, you've just got LG, lesbian, gay. There's no T, there's no trans, there's no B, bi. Like, there's not the community that we know that exists today that encompasses everyone equally. And so you kind of like, to watch it from a retrospective, you know, point of view, like, you do kind of acknowledge that. You do have to kind of acknowledge that and be like, okay, it's probably like, you know, for the time, maybe that was something that was, but actually, yeah, you're right. It was very, very much lacking in kind of inclusivity still. And that's something that our community is always working on. And it's great that nowadays we do have the B and the T and, you know, the Q and every other letter on that, because we have learned from the past and we're like, yes, we need to be more inclusive. But
I don't think this movie in itself is bashing lesbians. I think they're just like trying to illuminate the kind of viewpoints at the time, and that would have been probably a bit like that.
I think so too.
And we should just take that on board and learn from that.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies, this is a men-only venue.
Oh, don't be daft, love, come all the way from Powys.
This is a big topic, actually.
No, I know exactly what you're going to say, and I'm so glad that you're about to bring it up, because it's not a topic that we've brought up before, I don't think.
And it is not. The topic is gender-restricted clubs.
I think
male only, like gay men only, like
personally ridiculous, like genuinely ridiculous. Like, I think it's a stupid thing. I feel strongly about this because, first of all, the whole point of our community is about inclusivity, right?
Yes.
And I totally understand and respect the need for events that cater specifically to certain groups. So if that's, you know, specifically like a woman's event or club or whatever. When it comes to like social venues that are used for like just enjoying the community, having fun, drinking, I don't think we need to be doing things like no women. I find it so counter what we're about. Many people who are in London will know, like, there was a club called XXL, and they weren't allowing women in, and they weren't allowing men who even wore heels in, you know, let alone trans people.
I understand what you're saying.
Here we go.
What about the times when you're in a club and it's just full of hen parties because they know that they're going to have an amazing time in a gay club because they're not going to get pestered by men, the music's better, the company is better, they're going to have a better time, but they're filling up the queer venue, the queer space where, you know, we just want to go to meet similar people.
Have what I think is an interesting response to that.
Bring me the response.
And essentially, there's a difference between not being allowed to be in a venue and learning to respect the venue. Now, I have no problem at all.
So you're saying the responsibility is not the clubs, it's the people that go to the club.
It's the people that go to the clubs. Okay. So I would never say no to straight women, whether they're in a gaggle of hen parties or just on their own, whatever, coming into a club. Often, a lot of the time, they're allies, they're friends. But if you are going to go to a queer venue, a gay club, whatever it is, you need to learn to respect it. And that's the difference, I think, because I think there is a sense of when you come into a queer space, we invite you. We invite you. We're inclusive. We are allowing you in, but don't disrespect the space. So my argument would be is no, don't be an absolute drunk mess taking over the space.
It's not your space.
Making it uncomfortable for queer people because it isn't your space. It's difficult for queer people to go to straight and heterosexual clubs. It is. That's why we have gay clubs.
They can't relax.
You can't relax. You can't, like, it's very difficult. So we have queer venues and we have queer clubs. If you can't come into a gay club as a heterosexual person and learn to kind of respect the space, then yeah, you are taking up space and maybe you shouldn't be allowed. You specifically, because you don't know how to behave in that instance. We're not saying you can't have a good time, but maybe you should reflect on whether or not you think actually you deserve to be there because you have 10 other clubs to go to. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we should kind of apply that and then be like...
Blanket rule.
Yeah, blanket rule, no women allowed. Because you absolutely are allowed in there. Just be respectful of the space. And we want to dance with you and we want you to feel like and have a great time because everyone knows that gay clubs are the best place to dance and have a great time. We shouldn't be saying you can't come in here because you're a lesbian. Absolutely not. Like, it's a gay club. Where else is that person going to go? It's a venue for them as well.
So I think in summary, gender-specific clubs are dumb. They are dumb.
I think they're dumb.
But there is an argument to be said that you should think very carefully about whether you're going to a gay club and the reason that you're going there. And I'm not saying there's rules, but there's expectations of how not to behave in a gay club. So kind of, read the room.
Yeah, read the room because...
Just be a human. Just like be, okay, am I being a bit too much for this? Like, am I taking away their ability to actually enjoy themselves? And if the answer is maybe, then probably think about it.
Yeah, they exist as a safe space to have fun in, but they don't exist as a space for other heterosexual people to go and kind of spend as kind of like a fun holiday in. Do you know what I mean? Like where
it's not a theme park.
It's not a theme park.
That's our life.
Absolutely,
that's where we go. If you don't feel the same, then
yeah,
because it's an interesting one. I've heard different sides of it because gay men want to go to a club where there's other gay men that they can dance with and get with, and that's what they want. And then when there's like women everywhere,
I totally agree. And don't get me wrong, I have literally been in a club before and been like, I've seen the hen parties. If we go down the trail of thought of they shouldn't be allowed in, then in essence that makes our community no better than the other communities out there that would throw prejudice at us. And that's just my point of view. If you have a different point, like, totally, please share, because I think I've had different responses about this before, and like it is a really interesting debate. I think people naturally will gravitate to venues where they know certain things are going to be.
A different crowd is going to be.
Or a different crowd is going to be. And that's a natural thing, and it's just something that forms naturally, but it doesn't need to form from
the club being like no women.
Yeah, from specifically implied policies, because that's ridiculous.
How are you? I haven't been home in 4 days. Haven't you? I'm on a farewell tour. Where are you going? Please take care of yourself. Okay? Please.
I think you mentioned that this is not a film about AIDS. It's not a film about HIV. It brings it up in very short scenes, kind of fairly regularly throughout the movie, and it's kind of this undertone of like, oh yeah, this was happening at the same time.
Yeah, it's there and it's in the background, but it doesn't become the focus of it. I think that's what kind of in my head, I kind of think that's how you would have had to live your reality anyway.
Yeah.
At the time, knowing that there is something going on, but also there's reality of your life as well going on, and that's what the film does. It kind of it balances it really well, and I've not seen it done like that before. That's why I like it, because it's a funny film, it's a loving film, but also it's like, oh, by the way, this is happening.
Interesting thing about that scene is that I think it could be easily missed because they don't explicitly reference HIV or the fact that he's on a 4-day bender because he thinks that he's going to die, so he's just like having a wild time while they can. Like, unless you're really like switched on, I don't think you'd pick up on it. So
yeah,
it's just a very interesting way of doing it. Yeah.
What's this?
Don't
Those women ever sleep.
Jesus, God, that takes me.
I know you think you know what you want, Joe, but you're so young. That's what the law's for, to protect you. I didn't know who I was at your age. It's such a terrible life, Joe. No family. Hiding from people at work, from everyone.
It's almost a complete inability to empathise with a queer person's journey when you compare it to, oh, I didn't like fully know who I was when I was younger. Your sexuality is nothing like you exploring your personality. Like, it's just a completely different ball game, and to compare the two, it doesn't do it justice. Second thing, thank God that we're in a place now where all of those assumptions about how a gay man would have to live out his life, you know, lonely, without family, hiding his existence from everybody at work. Thank you that we don't have to live in that same society. We have like laws in place which protect us at work from discrimination.
Do you want to know something mad?
Did your mum say the same thing?
That's a very similar scene to my coming out with my mum. Like, oh, I watched that and this is not to like discredit her anyway, because like me and my mum have come so far in our relationship and I love her to bits, but that is very...
Hits a nerve, does it?
Yeah, it's very close to like how the conversation went with us. It's not like the worst coming out scene you've seen, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the worst one. It's like a slight ignorance, and it's like oh, I'm doing it because I love you, and that kind of...
But she's trying to scare him into...
She is,
into
but like, you can also see the absolute fear in her, and that's what's driving it. There's an ignorance, and there's an education needed there. Maybe they're not necessarily like speaking to their son like that because they think gays are wrong and need to burn in hell or whatever, but because they're just scared and they're worried and they have no idea what any of it is.
Yeah.
That mum has a lot of kind of learning to do, and she'll get there. She'll probably get there, and like, you know, it'll be one of those, it'll probably take 10 years, but maybe they'll have a better relationship later on. That's what mothers and fathers will, you know, say when they don't understand their children. So yeah,
all want the best for their kids, and they think that is the best thing for their kids, to put that bit of them aside. But you can't do that. You just can't.
No.
But how did that affect you though in like the coming months and?
Oh, it fucks me up like a lot.
Wanting to like suppress it.
No, I mean, actually what happened was I kind of did the opposite. I sort of becoming a little bit rebel-y and was purposely being overtly gay, and a lot of like my anger was just kind of fully thrown around then. Because it existed before, and I'm pretty sure that was because I hadn't come out yet, but then it got really like, and it's like naked men on phone screen savers and stuff, and it was like, you know, wearing eyeliner and all sorts, because it was like it was a rebellious bit. I would never forget when she first made a joke. Oh my god,
gay joke.
She made a gay joke. I think we were at Winter Wonderland, and she made a gay joke because someone mentioned about like sausages, and she was like, "Oh, you'd like that," but she carried on walking, and then me and my sister just went, and then she was like, "What?" And I was just like, I just hugged her. I was just like, because that's all you want at the end of the day. Like, that was the moment I knew that was it. And it's never going to be like absolutely perfect, because she still does have like, you know, values and beliefs. But for her to be able to be like, I can joke about that with you, I'm like, fine.
It's beautiful.
That's all I want.
I'm gay.
I know. I've known for a little while now, Cliff.
What a beautiful scene.
I actually think that's like my favourite moment in the film. Gay isn't just a young thing, or it isn't just a in the moment thing politically. Like it's a universal thing. Like it's and it's done so beautifully in such a simple, like barely any dialogue, just looks and like, oh yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
It's extremely well acted.
Yeah.
But also it's just a really cute coming out scene.
Yeah.
Back then, when they knew even less about this thing, they gave out numbers with each diagnosis. 1, 2, 3, and so on. I'm number 2. Nobody knows what's keeping me alive. What are you going to do now with your life?
My life goes back to normal now.
You've a first-class mind. Go to college. Don't waste it, Sean. There are young people dying every day now. Clever, promising. Don't you dare waste it.
Incredible that he is still alive today. He would have had to watch all of his friends die, and people he knew, and that's arguably harder, in a way.
Yeah. It's kind of horrifying.
It is, yeah.
So he would have lived long enough for him to get him on meds, so that now he can live like anyone else who's diagnosed with HIV, and that is pretty much a normal life.
Where are my lesbians? Where are my lesbians?
I think he means them.
You must have found it a bit weird, a load of gays and lesbians descending on you.
Why on earth would we have found that weird?
Oh, it's so lovely.
Such a powerful moment, isn't it?
Oh, incredible.
Hand in hand, standing together. This is what it should be. This is how it should be.
And that's all it takes. Like you said earlier on in the film, you have my back, I have yours. Like, it's fantastic to see. And I feel like if we had a little bit more of that spirit nowadays, we'd go a long way. And the thing is, for anyone who's been to Pride, it is beautiful because there is a lot of absolute support from so many other communities that show up.
Brothers in our air is power in our youth. Money speaks for money, the devil for his own. Oh, what a comfort to the widow, the light. Our brothers and our sisters in our union.
When I watched that again, I was like, oh, and I still learned things from that, and that was this event is what started the Labour Party's support for gay rights, and it's an amazing bit of history to learn about.
Oh, that is my favourite gay film.
It probably is, actually, because I can't think of another...
I can't think of one that I enjoy watching. I mean, there are other ones which are like arguably more impactful in terms of their message, but this is the most enjoyable gay movie that there is.
It's fantastic.
If you haven't seen it, you have to.
You need to watch this film if you have not seen it. Absolutely. It's a gay film, but it's also just not a gay film. It's a human film. Top tier.
Top tier.
Top tier.
There you have it.
That was Pride, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts.
Yes, comment, subscribe, let us know what you think. We absolutely love it. If you say otherwise, we might throw some fireworks at your door.
We'll brick your windows.
Never.
So next up is Moonlight.
Yes.
Which I'm very excited about.
I'm excited about that too. Yeah.
So subscribe if you want to see that. And check out some of our other videos if you enjoyed this one. And just join the community. Be part of what we're trying to do here. And
support the minors!
In a union!
Where are my lesbians?
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye!
Bye!
The pinkest punch ever!
Is that alcohol in that?
I wish.